Time for us to quickly skim through the dailies, and I start you off with a copy of the People Daily. With the main read this morning is basically what is happening within IEBC and what also section of leaders is saying in respect to IEBC trying to use the complementary mechanism or the complementary method, perhaps it being the manual register. Right now, as it turns out, the nominated Senator Beth Mugo is now urging the IEBC to do so. We also had that particular story on our GMK news brief, but IEBC still insists that the digital form of identification will be their primary method. And also, just to read through what IEBC has said in respect to that, the electoral body now maintains that identification will be through the digital process, and this they say it has aligned itself to the Supreme Court ruling on 2017 presidential election results. Remember that the courts had said that the use of the manual register, like we kept saying over and over, is that this could open to misuse or even manipulation, and this is why the IEBC has clearly maintained that digital form of registration is what they will be going for, and if that fails, then the alphanumeric form is what they just might resort to. So manual register is still not quite there yet in terms of the forms they might use for identification. But again, remember that this case is still within the courts as it was filed by the civil society group. So we wait to see how all this will pan out. Might they just oblige and choose to also use the manual register as a form of identification? We wait to see how all this will turn out. And even as this is happening, could there just be crisis in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party, knowing fully well they have up until Thursday to ensure that they are complete with this zoning process in which they are engaged to? This is because the IEBC now has until Thursday to gazette the names of the candidates for various positions. This simply means that once that gazettement is complete, then those are the names that are going to appear on the ballot. Now, largely also Azimio has employed zoning, given the fact that the various parties that they have. So it simply means that they have various candidates within the coalition party in a particular area. And so they say that they do not want to give their opponents a chance, or a better chance rather, or even just to give them an advantage when it comes to the August 9 general election. And this is why they are largely employing the zoning, and also they are using the opinion polls. But then this has not really sat well with the section of these candidates, knowing fully well, again, they have already been given the nomination certificate. So as it stands, they're good to go when it comes to going all the way to the ballot. Also, some of them saying that they have also invested in campaigns, invested in the materials, campaign materials. So we wait to see how all this will turn out, with 41 days to the polls and Azimio having up until Thursday to decide who at the end of the day will carry the party's flag for various positions come August 9th. So also, inside Ruto's healthcare plan for all, this is as he unveiled the health charter yesterday. And just largely to quote what he says is that if elected as president, he will scrap KEMSA and give counties a free hand to purchase drugs. He says that much as this could be a radical move or a radical measure, he says that all these proposals are aimed at revolutionizing the health sector. So this not in a bad move or in a bad way, as he says, but just all for the good of the health sector. He says that public health care is among the critical sectors that suffers trickle-down effects, yet it needs a bottom-up economic approach. This is even as he unveiled the education charter as well as the women's charter just a few weeks back. And again, all this as we await to see how the Kenya Kwanza coalition, what rather will be in the manifesto of this particular coalition, as this is set to be unveiled on Thursday at the Kasarani Gymnasium. So far, it's only the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya party which has unveiled its manifesto. We also wait to see what will be in store for the other two various presidential candidates, that is Wahiga Mwaure as well as Wajackoya, even as they are also slated to unveil their manifesto. And lastly, more than 80 parties submit nomination lists. This is out of the possible 83 parties, obviously locking out the two parties which have not submitted the nomination list of leaders, that is Ford Asili and Ukweli Party, who according to IEBC failed to submit as at closure of the deadline, which was just this past Saturday. That was on June 25th. They were supposed to submit a list of nominated leaders. This in essence means that after the polls, those leaders that will get to parliament either as nominated MPs or nominated senator. Remember that IEBC had earlier on given a recommendation for parties to ensure that they meet the 2/3 threshold even as they submit the list of nomination, but the courts ruled against that, saying that it contravened the electoral laws, and also public participation was not put into consideration. And again, the timings which IEBC was asking parties to do that was not quite there, was not the correct timing. So this just forced parties to submit the names of the nominated list of people that they felt would just the best, rather, so to speak, within the various parties. But we also wait to see if perhaps, the two parties will be given a chance to submit also a list of the nominated leaders. That is how the front page of the PD looks like this Tuesday morning. Victor.
Yeah, I have got two newspapers here. I have the Star and the Daily Nation, but let me start with the Daily Nation. First of all, on the front page, a wash paradise. That's what's on the front page. A wash paradise. Money, power, and sleaze. The allure of quick riches, fame, and fortune is making Kenya one huge crime scene where hoodlums with the right connections launder billions from illegal enterprises such as trade in narcotics, gun running, and fake gold. Inside, how runaway organized crime is chipping away on Kenya's democratic credentials as it funds a new crop of delinquent leaders to run for top offices. Now, this is in line with what CS Fred Matiang'i said a while back, where he said that if we are not careful as a nation, that the next crop of legislators will be made of quote-unquote wash leaders and fraudsters. You can take a look on that story. On the campaign trail, as Raila promises law change to speed up corruption cases, Ruto outlines health sector initiatives in soft manifesto launch. That happened yesterday at the Catholic University. EACC raids homes of Kenya power bosses in graft probe. Now, top managers are under investigation for alleged grand corruption, ranging from procurement irregularities to insider trading. Now, the net loss in shillings Kenya Power posted in the financial year ended June 2020, its first in 17 years, is 2.98 billion shillings. And it's estimated that 10,000 estimated number of employees at Kenya Power is the current workforce at that particular parastatal. So you can imagine 2.98 billion shillings is not something to wish away. Top Cohen was forced to marry Sarah Wairimu, his sister claims. Now, he married Sarah under Kikuyu customary law to evade deportation to the Netherlands. That is according to Sarah, slain Dutch tycoon Tom Cohen, sister, who said that her brother was forced to marry under the Kikuyu customary rights to avoid being deported to the Netherlands. That is when the testimony was happening yesterday at the High Court. Now, Cohen's sister Gabrielle Hannah Van Strasten said that actually told Justice Murungi that her brother's marriage to Wairimu was forced. She was testifying in a case challenging the validity of a will that was prepared by lawyer Chege Kirundi. The case is still on. And according to the papers, it said that Cohen's family have so far spent 22.5 million shillings in pursuit for justice for their deceased brother. Okay. Bahati Muringi, casualties of Azimio weak candidates deal. Musician protest decision as Raila party settles on incumbent Anthony Oluoch to face off with UDA flag bearer. Now in Mathare, Azimio has settled on MP Anthony Oluoch of ODM to be the sole candidate in the August 9th general election. ODM Embakasi North parliamentary candidate Jane Muringi has been prevailed upon to step down for Jubilee's Harrison Wangoro, who will now face off with United Democratic Alliance candidate and incumbent James Gakuya. this is just but the beginning of that stride that actually the delegates meeting of ODM and Jubilee held yesterday to streamline the outfits candidates so that they can avoid any loss of votes. Ruto will ensure made in Kenya medicine. KEMSA cartels are making it impossible for local manufacturers to access the Kenyan market. That is according to the DP. He was speaking yesterday at the Catholic University of East Africa during the Health Economic Forum, where the DP said that Kenya's Medical Supply Authority, that is KEMSA, cartels are making it impossible for local manufacturers to access the Kenyan market. So far, we all know what happened in the past under the KEMSA, I beg your pardon, Wash Paradise. It's a complete full page on how that kind of business is thriving and in the country, and it's alleged that the culprits are still roaming freely. Okay. And finally, Gisheru fate in judge's hands as case closes. His lawyer and ICC prosecutor clashed in their counter-arguments at the end of the trial that lasted 19 months. And now the trial judge, Miata Maria Samba, said that the chamber will deliberate on the proceedings and will deliver their ruling at a reasonable period that will be communicated to both and all the parties involved in the case. That is as far as Daily Nation is concerned. I take it to Regina. I'll be back with the Star. Regina.
Front page is all about, that development in regard to the ICC case. There are now phone data links Ruto to witness bribery. This is a main read in this particular issue of the Standard this morning. The closing arguments, the judges told that there is enough evidence linking lawyer Paul Geshero to witness tampering meant to benefit Deputy President William Ruto, as ICC prosecution names other 10 associates in the alleged scheme. This is a detailed report that you'll get details on our website there, www.kbc.co.ke. However, this is what has captured the eye of this particular scribe this morning on this daily, being the 28th of June 2022. Now, the prosecution's closing brief sets in detail how the evidence presented proves that Paul Geshero is guilty on all 8 accounts of corruptly influencing witnesses. Well, that is what has been captured. However, further details onto our website. Now, the cost of living has been shooting, and it has sparked protests for higher pay, especially within the formal sector. And we started off this particular broadcast with an opinion by a political and economic analyst, that is Giveya Kamari, who says one would have thought that at high time of inflation and unemployment, the new administration would reduce the size of government in order to reduce taxes and interest. Talking about taxes, you have up until June 30th to have filed your tax returns. That's the deadline there. So also matters of politics. Deputy President, I will stop KEMSA monopoly and split NHIF. This is his promises on the campaign trail as captured yesterday at a time when Azimio la Umoja One Kenya was in Garissa there, and the flag bearer Raila Odinga there promising residents of Garissa to tackle the issue of insecurity if elected to office. At the same time, we had presidential aspirant there, Wajackoya, down in Kisumu there, and he made some utterances in regard to, promising that Rastafari community as well as different factions in as far as matters of religion are concerned are going to have special days to just, commemorate or adhere to, their laid down religious edicts, so to speak. So we have been keeping it, equal across the political campaign. So as KBC there, you can be sure of no biasness in our coverage in regard to where we are in as far as matters of politics are concerned. Now, matters of national importance, and this came to the fore following the demise of Raila Odinga's son, that is Fidel Odinga. Now, a determination has been made that Fidel Odinga's widow Luam Getachew has obtained control and ownership of 3 of his 4 properties, with their son getting the 4th, and loads of cash. Interested in finding out the details? Well, it is captured by this particular daily. Now, government had embarked on ensuring that we have a skills
transfer program targeting nurses, and over 20,000 positions is what the Ministry of Health had spoken of. And that controversial report indicated that those who had taken that particular exam or a prerequisite training entry process, non-qualified because they could not eloquently speak English. Either speak English or have it in written form. Now, it has been confirmed that only 13 people have qualified to join the Britain's NHS in a program agreed on by the two governments, you know, despite having earlier given that there were slots, 20,000 slots for the Kenyans there. Looking at County 01, talking about Mombasa County, is that the construction of the Makupa Bridge connecting Chuda there and Port Reitz Creek is expected to be completed this month, and the project, which costs around 4.5 billion shillings, will restore the coastal city's island status. In a nutshell, that is what we have on the front page of this particular daily, with the back page of this particular daily still just having a recap of what was happening over the weekend at the WRC there, where Kale Rovanpera carried the day in the weekend's race there. The Safari Rally Championship was indeed a showpiece for the country. Now, Victor.
All right. It was a fun-filled weekend. Now, finally, and on to the Star newspaper. High cost of living at the center of Raila-Ruto battle. DP blames Raila and President Kenyatta for skyrocketing food prices. That one was happening while ODM says that Ruto responsible for collapse of Galana Kulalu. Blame game continues. Now, still on the front page there, Tob Cohen underwent vasectomy. According to the case, in the court, City Tycoon underwent vasectomy at the age of 27, according to the slain sister, Gabriel Hus, told the court that Tob Cohen moved to Kenya in 1987. He was married to a Dutch wife and they didn't want to have children. While being led in her testimony by lawyer Dunstan Umari, Gabriel said that Cohen moved to Kenya to work for Philips, which later closed shop. You can take a look at that story in details because it's completely fleshed out there for you. Kiwi pays 2.5 billion shillings frozen over alleged money laundering. Not so different from what else of the front page of the Daily Nation. Assets Agency believes that payment platform involved in credit and debit card fraud. That is a story there that you need to read. High cost of living at the center of Raila-Ruto battle. Now, yesterday we did a bit of some arithmetic here, Regina. And high cost of living, there's a comparison between the prices in January and where we are in June. For example, maize flour, 2 kg in January was 126, right now 210 on average. 500 ml of packet of milk in January was 50 shillings. Right now it's retailing at 60 bob. Wheat flour, 2 kg in January was 144. Right now we are doing at 200 bob. Toilet paper in January was 35 bob. Right now it's 50 shillings. And finally, petrol per litre in January was 129.72 cents and right now retailing at 159 shillings. I don't know, as we finish this, Regina, economically speaking, will this thing come down? Looking at the economics of scale.
What we can say is that, and I would want to quote what economists have said, you know, 2020 was a COVID year. It took the globe by storm, and consequently we had what we term as COVID disruptions, you know, disruptions into the supply chain across board. For instance, right now we're talking about the high cost of international cost of fuel, you know, the Brent, the Mobain and such. Yes. OPEC is cutting its supply. And in some quarters, this is seen as a deliberate move to actually create more demand amid short supply so that you can inflate the prices. Well, it is working. This has been exacerbated by the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine that was very of political turmoil. So we are looking at what is happening in Zimbabwe. We have what is happening in Sri Lanka. And what comes out here is that when you talk about inflation, we are all feeling the heat, maybe in different categories, so to speak. We have the US, people are struggling to pay rent. We're here, we're doing, I mean, a 2 kg pack of flour. This is not about to end.
We are not alone as a nation.
Yes, we are not alone. Then what is likely to happen? What is likely to happen as we head into September? Right now, I know we're talking about politics and such, but what is likely to happen when it comes to matters of climate change? We are likely to have a food crunch, shortage towards September. Why? The rains are not enough. We have not planted enough. We are not focusing on even water harvesting. As we're talking about Kijibaridi in June, are we ready? Have we planned how we're going to harvest the rains that are a little bit delayed to see us through the coming season? We are bound to be in a very difficult place, not just Kenya, but the globe at large. But I think leaders need to have some foresight.
All right, Regina Fadhili says that we need to wind up. Doreen had something to say.
Yeah, I wanted to say that actually it's not only unique to us. I mean, just also going by what Regina has really well explained, that this is actually a global issue. And coming down to Kenya, our price of fuel are not even helping at all. Now with the conversation of end fuel subsidy at the end of the day, we all know the ripple effect of that. Again, cost of living going much higher. Brace yourself for tougher times.
Yeah. Okay. Doreen, take us to a break then.
Yeah, and we are done with our second segment in the headlines, but we still have plenty more, including what we have in store for you on our various interactive segments, so stay put.